As explained last week, you're done with Module 1. You shouldn't have had to turn anything in. You did not have to turn anything in. You just continue to save the stuff as you keep working through it, and then at the very end of Module 4, you turn everything in at once. So a bunch of students were asking me, what do we turn in? What do we submit? Where do we submit it? Nothing. You're actually responsible for 5% each week, creating each module to save and keep these files organized. This is all part of learning to manage a website. So I'm finished with Module 1, starting on Module 2 right now. Bam. There are my files on my desktop. There's right where I left off. Nothing's gone anywhere. I haven't done anything with it. You start moving it around, moving files around, and that's the exact kind of thing that messes up people's sites. So keep this organized, keep it all together. At the end of week 4, you'll turn it all in. There'll be a separate video just showing you how to turn it in. So right now, we're going to be probably working on the step side, right? Because we're not doing anything in my personal portfolio yet. We don't do anything until we get to there. So everything we do is on the step side. So let's just start here with tables. I'm going to go through this one fairly quickly because as I mentioned in the last one, as I'm recording these videos, and the first 2 are not done in a classroom setting, you can pause it anytime you want and actually read through this, okay? So that it's explained. Like, this is a table tag. It creates a table in HTML, which you don't always see. Sometimes the borders and the different lines between the cells are invisible, but it keeps things in place. That's the whole idea of a table. And a TR is a table row, a TD is a table column, and we start creating tables. Okay, so through this first chunk here in steps, you don't actually have to create anything. It's all just explaining it. So I'm going to pause. You guys read through that so you get a good idea of what this stuff means. Okay, good job. Now, steps to success. We're going to make a new HTML file. Piece of cake. We already did this last week. Notepad. Okay. Do we have the code yet? All right. We don't. Wow, Mike, geez. A little bit of review from last week, okay? I want you guys to be able to create a basic HTML page, and all I'm giving you is the content for the body. So you need to get everything in there, including the body tag, and you need to even give it a title. The title and the heading are exactly the same, my table. So here's how you create this, okay? Just like we did at the end of Module 1 when we did our own page in my personal portfolio. Every HTML starts, closes, and as I mentioned before, if you're typing it out yourself, a standard HTML and chevrons is fine. What we give you when we give you the code for the page includes that big, huge, long initial HTML tag that sort of includes like your sort of serial number, copyright sort of information for the W3. If you don't put it in there, it just kind of attaches itself when you put it online anyway. So you can start with the standard HTML, that's fine. We're going to have a title, which will have to go in the head. Okay, so start the title tag. It's called my table. Close the title tag. Okay, I know I'm going fast. You can pause at any time. Close the head. What happens after that? Body starts. What happens after you put the content in for the body? Body closes. So there you go. I just created a web page. I mean, I know I'm the teacher, so I might be a little quicker at it than you are after only doing it one time, but those are all your basic tags for the creation of a page. And this one's going to include a table, which will start with the table tag and then probably some rows and columns. And that code we do give to you, and it's right here. So for the most part in the Web Workshop project as a whole, we give you the entire HTML file. We just thought it'd be a good exercise here to not give you all the basic tags, to make you type them in one more time, just so you got used to it, okay? So I put them all in myself, and then within the body tag, I put the table in. The one last thing I did ask you to do is create a heading above the table, which is not the same as the title. We're making the title and the heading the same text, but a heading appears in the body of the page, and that's also called my table. And then you close heading 1. It's a heading 1 tag I think I asked for. Heading 1, yeah. So save this, and this, what you see here, is your completed file, and it should be saved as table.html. So go to all files. Make sure you pay very, very close attention to where you're saving. The last time you probably worked on this project, you were saving in the mypp folder. Right now we're starting at the beginning of Module 2 again, so you need to back out into the Web Workshop and save in steps. If you accidentally save table in mypp, just cut it and paste it into steps. If there were links made to it, that'd make it a little trickier, but right now there's not. So get into steps, save the file as table.html, and you'll probably notice that I already clicked to all files, okay? And if you're in Text Wrangler, you don't even have to do that. So save it, and let's go check it out. All right, that's that one I just made at the end of module 1. Just go into your Web Workshop folder, steps, table. We're going to open it up and explore. You guys won't have to keep clicking open with. I just don't want to open Chrome right now because I've got a lot of pages I need to close up in there. There's a basic table. Piece of cake. See, that's heading 1. That's the title. They are both the same text, but two different, totally different HTML tags. Okay, so in the HTML you see title, heading 1. Okay, so now that you know how the Web Workshop works, I don't spend as much time going through everything with you. I'll go a little bit quicker for Module 2 here, because Modules 3 and 4 are a bit longer. So bunch of stuff explained about tables. We try one out, we make it, we look at it, looks pretty good. Pause, read this here. This talks about the width, the border, the cell padding, spacing. Once you get into Dreamweaver, you'll be able to edit that much easier too, but if you're editing in here, you see the only thing we really put in there, border, cell padding, spacing, was a border, but we still put these in to show you how they work. You put the property in, and then the value always goes after the equal sign in quotes. It works that way with a lot of HTML, not just tables. And you'll see that come up a lot more later in the workshop. So you can pause and read that. Okay, good. Now, made a table. Nice job. Close the page. You're done with it. Make sure it's saved. File save. Let's make an image appear in our page. Okay. Oh yeah, you're going to do this in your table page. Okay, well, big deal. You got to reopen it. We're going to take this image right here. Okay, I'm gonna. You guys can pause here and you can read through this. Okay, there are 3 different types of images that will come up in HTML and will actually appear in a browser. Anything else like bitmap or TIFF or anything like that will not come up in a browser. The only ones that will appear in browsers are GIFs, GIF, JPEG, JPG, and well, not really a Photoshop format, but the PNG format also works, which isn't very common, so we didn't put it in there. But GIF, JPEG, and PNG are the 3 main ones that work. GIF and PNG are just like you usually see. Actually, I'm going to fix that too. This should add PNG in there, because GIF and PNG are exactly like this sound. GIF and PNG. There's no extra letters or anything, and that's the extension. JPEG, unfortunately, when people refer to it in a sentence, they usually put an E in there, and they call it a JPEG. But when you put the extension in, if you keep the E in there, it's not going to work. Even Windows, when you click on the file, like if I have a JPEG, I know I have a few here. I think I have several of my baby. One here, what's in here? So these are JPEGs, right? So if I sit on one, see how it refers to it as a JPEG with an E in there? But if I sat on a GIF, it would be GIF. You can't put that E at the end of the file path. You have to keep that out of there, and a bunch of you will probably mess this up and run into that later on in this module, so just be aware of it. This is just a GIF, so we don't have to worry about it. What you're going to do here is just right-click, all right, and save picture as, and this is a picture now, so it's going to go into our images folder. Do not save it in your pictures folder and then link to it by drawing a long file path there. I'll show you that in a second what you're not supposed to do. You're just supposed to save it in images. So we go to the desktop, we go to our Web Workshop folder, and we're working on the steps side, so we go into steps and save this in images. Don't change the name, don't mess with it, just save it. Then I explained to you how images come up in the page, so you can pause and read this for a second. Okay, so we save the picture. Now I'm giving you, right here, a full link with a paragraph break, so it enters down a line and saying, put this after your table. This is the HTML code that will make an image appear, and what comes after image source in the quotes is the only thing that will generate the actual image. The image is not coming out of HTML. It's already a graphic file that's been created. All you're doing in the HTML is saying, hey, go get it and show it to me on this page. Okay, so most people who have a full website will put all their photos, whatever, in like images or graphics. You could have a folder called graphics, and then it'll refer to that folder and pull up the file. So this is a big deal now. We're taking a step forward, and we're actually referencing other files, and we're going to do that a little bit more in the next step when we do hyperlinks. So if you don't have a folder called images, if you used a capital I, or you messed up the spelling or did something, the link I'm giving you will not work. And I would prefer, instead of you being smart enough to actually just change this to match your folder, which you could do, I would rather you change the folder name in your Web Workshop folder in Steps to actually be the proper name, which is images with a small I. See, and if I go in there now, you see image 1. And if you sit on it, you see GIF. It's a GIF. So if I link to in an image link, for the source, images, that's my folder, / it means now I'm looking for a file, GIF. Then it should come up. So let's try it out. So I am going to have to reopen here, table. And I'm going to go to the end of my table, but before my body closes, this is still in the body, I'm going to put that image link in there. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to refresh it in my browser and see if it shows up. Cool, I got an image. A lot of you may not. A lot of you may be cursing me right now, but that's because either you saved this in the wrong folder. Maybe you saved it in images in my personal portfolio by accident. Maybe you saved it under the wrong name. Maybe you renamed it for some reason. Maybe your images folder is wrong. But that's not how it works, okay? This should come up if you use the link I gave you. Now you might notice here, this file path. That is not what you use in a hyperlink to create a file path. It's going to be the same as images, so we're just about to get to there. So image is like, I go into the folder, I find the image, there it is. So even though the path for this image on my computer is longer, as long as it's within the same folder or lower than, anything you're going to need online will just require that. You don't need anything longer than that. If you do put something longer than that, that includes like your C drive and everything, it won't work when you send it to me. Because it's all based on direct file paths, not file paths on your computer. That's why everything for the Steps site has to be in Steps. If you put something for the Steps site outside of here, and then you link to it, like if you link to a picture, for example, in your Pictures folder, that's going to work on your computer, but when I get it, it won't work, because that file path doesn't exist on my computer. So soak that in for a second, and then when we get to the next page, it'll make more sense. So this, you can pause and read through this now. This talks about how these things are working. You can add a border, alignment, all that kind of stuff, okay? All right, good job. Now we're going to keep moving. Links. 3 different types of links. Absolute will go to another website on the World Wide Web. Relative will be linking to a page within your site. So relative for us in the Steps site, gotta stop pulling that up, is right here, relative link. Okay, these are all sitting there. They could be in folders too, and it'd still be a relative link because you're just not leaving the site. If I only had index out, the main folder, and then I had a folder called pages, and I put all the pages in there, that would still be a relative link, but do not do that because that's not part of the instructions. All your pages can float by themselves here, okay? So what we're going to do is make those 2 different kind of links, and if I don't stop pulling that up. And you can also have links to email addresses, which are really simple. It's just like it's the phrase mail to with a colon, and then you put the email address inside of a hyperlink. Finally, you can have something called anchors, which we're not going to do in the Web Workshop, but I will show you how to do them in Dreamweaver. That's where you link to a spot on the same page, okay? And it's simply done by adding an anchor, which you can do in Dreamweaver. You just give it like a short name, something simple you can understand, like bottom. And then if you want to make a hyperlink to that, in the area where you put the link source, you put $sign bottom, and it goes to there in the page. It's kind of cool. So that's how that's set up. And we're going to focus on these 3 types of links, okay? So you can pause and read the full definitions of these, and then play the video again. We'll keep going. All right, here we go. Let's make a link to an external website, which would be considered absolute, okay? And sometimes we give you the full code, sometimes we don't. Here we say, put a paragraph tag in, then take the rest of this code. Now we could have just given you the P, but it's always good to break it up a little bit just to make sure you're still keeping track of the code. So I'm going to take the full code on the bottom and just add the paragraph tag, and we're going to do this just after the image. Okay? So I'm going to reopen table in Notepad, and just after the image I just created, I'm going to put a hyperlink in as well. Okay, and then I'm going to add that paragraph tag at the beginning there. And this links to Fanshaw's site. I gave you the link and everything, and then this is the link text that shows up in place of this. If you change this to say just Fanshaw, then that's what would show up. All right? So this will show up on the page, and behind it, this code will tell the browser that when you click on it, I want it to go here. All right? and that's the href, which is a hyperlink reference to that. And ahref is the same. You use the same code before an email link, an absolute link, a relative link, or even an anchor. It's just what's different is what's in the quotes here. Okay, so for this external, you put the full HTTP. You always put the full HTTP for an external link, and I would be in the habit of including the www as well. With some .cas, the www doesn't work. So now, did we save those changes? Make sure we save the changes. You can just hit Control-S to refresh. I'm currently a student at Fanshawe. Click on it. Cool, Fanshawe's website, right on. Okay, so you just made that. All right, that's an absolute link. Let's try some relative links. Okay, these are even simpler. Same exact syntax, except your href is even shorter because all you have to do is link to either a folder with a file in it or just the file itself, because relative means you're within the same root directory. You don't have to do an external address on the World Wide Web. And even when you submit this entire folder to the World Wide Web, as long as you have the relative link there and the files there, that's all you need. Okay, you don't need to create hyperlinks within the same web folder with www addresses with HTTP in front of them. All you need is the file path. You only ever have to put that in when you're leaving your web folder. Okay? So copy this link and open up index in steps. So this is done for now, table. We've saved it, you can close it. It's always good not to have more open than you need to. Open up index. Okay. Go down after Perry's address and put this in there. Check out my amazing table webpage. Save the file and then preview index in the browser. Okay, so here we go with index open from steps, and if you click on this, it opens my amazing table webpage. Now I'm going to show you what you should never ever do, and I don't know who started teaching students this. Some guy in my class years ago said, oh yeah, if you can't figure out what the link is, just take the file path. So if you open up a file that's an HTML file, for example, like table, and I just open it in a browser, okay, a URL, so to speak, even though it's only local, is going to come across in the address bar. But all you need, if you're in the same folder to make this table page open up, is the file name with the extension. It's just this. Okay? What people started doing, and I've seen some people do it in this year already, is they took this entire thing because they weren't sure how to do a relative link, and then something wasn't working. They had a typo or something. Let's say they had table with a capital T and it wasn't working, so they just stuck this whole thing in there, right? Because they didn't have the right file path. They saved it. Okay, so now I open up index, and it's going to look exactly the same, right? It's the same link text. This, check out my amazing table page, is the same. And on my computer, that file path exists. So it appears to them that it will work, okay? However, if all you need to do is just put table.html because it's within the same folder, then why wouldn't you? Because what happens is, when they send this to me to be graded, they've thought the whole time, oh yeah, I made my hyperlinks, they work great. This link will not work because on someone else's computer, the odds of them having the exact username and putting it on the desktop in this folder or in this place, it's just not going to happen. Like this doesn't exist. But if it's just linked to a file within that folder, then it will work. So what that other link was doing was going outside of the main folder, finding the C drive on this local machine, going to users, Sloan desktop, and then going all the way back into table, when all you really had to do from the get-go was go directly to table. If something's not working, it's because you have a capital T, or you left the E out, or you have a little typo, okay? The entire project, I mean, couldn't be done pretty much with cut and pasting. And the reason students have trouble with this when they run into stuff that doesn't work is because they've typed something in that isn't right. If you've named a file incorrectly and I give you a link that's direct to that file called table and you haven't named it like that, that's why it's not working. Do not put a C drive path in a hyperlink ever. And do not put a C drive path in an image link ever. You should have an images folder, so you should have images and then the file path, and that's it. If it's not working, something else is going on and you need to fix it. It's likely a typo. So save the changes to that and close it down. That is a relative link. Very simple, okay? Even less complicated than your absolute link, which has to include the HTTP and the www. Okay, and you can pause now and read the rest of this. Okay, good. Let's go on and try some email links. For this, we're going to do them in index as well, and we're going to do some email links that simply, in place of the source that goes in the quotes, instead of a file name for a relative link, instead of an HTTP address for an absolute link, we have a mail to link, which is mail to, no spaces, colon, and then an email address. As long as you have a valid email address in there, it opens up your default email browser, email program, and starts to draft an email for you. Okay, in place of that, you have link text, the same way we have link text for absolute or relative links. I have here the examples, Mike, me, whatever. It's not a bad idea sometimes to make the link text your actual email address, like put this where the name is, because a lot of times people don't even have a default email browser and they want to just cut and paste your email. And if they don't see that, you'd have to right-click and go to Properties to get the email address. So I'll show you what I mean here as an example. Let's go into Index. We're supposed to be doing this. Notepad, go down to the bottom. Okay, after the hyperlink for the amazing table page, we're going to have some mailing links. Okay, so instead of, this is a made-up email address, by the way, instead of the name Mike, which would appear right now if I save changes, hang on. Save, go here, index. Oh, it should already be open. No, it's not. Get some of these closed. Like I said, keep stuff. Don't have more open than you ever need to. Okay. See what you see there? Mike. See, it comes up down there. You can right-click and go to Properties and get the email address. But sometimes it's easier for people, if you know not all of them have a default email browser, to instead go like this. And I'm not going to change your grade either way you have it, but this is a good way to do it too. Is to make the email address itself, Control S, so I've saved the changes, the email address itself, the link text. See what I mean? Okay, and again, I made that email address up. Okay, anytime you want to get in touch with me, you find me on Fanshawe Online. So those are mail to links, and it's really that simple. Use the same exact code set up the same way as a hyperlink, except in the source, in the quotes, you go mail to colon and type in an email address. And then it talks about where to put it. You can pause and read all of this, and then I'll pick up with you guys on the next page. Okay, here we go. Nesting. Okay, this is very simply put, means a tag and a tag. So when we put a paragraph tag around an image tag and the paragraph tag didn't close until the image thing was done, that's nesting. This is nesting technically, just making something italics in a heading. Okay, so I'm going to ask you in my personal portfolio to nest an image tag in a hyperlink, and you should be able to do it the same way. Just stick it where the link text goes, and I'll actually show you that when we get there so you know how to do it. All right, that's nesting too. These are just very, very simple forms of nesting, and you don't have to do anything on this page. There's no work to be completed. You should just pause and read it, and then we'll move to the next thing. Okay, here we go. Comments. This is going to be a new file you're going to create. And the only reason is to see that you can put information into your body, but use a special code to make it not show up. That's it. Okay, so go ahead and take this whole code, copy it, close, make sure this is saved, and close index because you're not working on it now. Open up Notepad, paste that code in, go save as, make sure you're in steps, very good, all files. The name of this file is commentout.html. Okay, just save it, and then leave the Notepad file open, and go and preview it in the browser. All right. So what we're looking at here is a list with 2 items in it. If you look at the code, what you see is a list with 4 items in it. This little code here with the exclamation mark, and then the same code without the exclamation mark and the other chevron, allows you to leave the content there. Like, let's say you're going to use it later and you didn't want to type it back in, you just use a comment code, and then if I deleted these 2 pieces, it would appear. Another reason this is used in HTML is because a lot of coding can get very bulky and heavy duty, and like there's different sections. Here's the main content area, here's the side news area, here's this other area, and you can use comments in the code and do stuff like this. You can say main content starts here, and then close the comment, and then you start coding, right? And then you have the same thing at the end of it, and it can say main content ends here. So codes can be used for stuff like that too, not just to hide stuff that you're going to bring up at a later date. Now I'm not going to save the changes to that because that's not what I'm expecting to be turned in. So that was just to show you an example. So that's it. Just showing you another neat thing you can do with code comments, and it does add another file to your steps folder. Okay, so when you're done with that, comment out .html in your steps folder. You can pause and read the full explanation and then move on to exercise 2. Okay, so assuming you just read the thing on the last page, you have made it once again to the My Personal Portfolio section of your Web Workshop project, which is a separate website from steps, and you should now close everything having to do with steps, which I think I already have. Just close everything, so nothing's open. So now you're going to be opening, creating, doing whatever, saving files in steps. Web Workshop folder. At this point, sorry, in my PP, not steps. I knew I said something wrong there. Now you're done with steps for Module 2. You're going to be moving to My Personal Portfolio, where very quickly you can check that you have all 4 of these files and that you have that one image in there. That's what you should have so far in steps. In my PP, all you should have is this. No images, no styles, nothing. Just this. Okay, that's it. If you have anything else, you should move it back over to steps. It shouldn't be in here. And if you've linked to it or something like that, you're going to have to fix the links too. Okay, you got to stick to the directions here. I haven't told you to do anything in my PP yet for Module 2. Now we're there. So what are we doing? Okay, let's check it out. We are put an image of yourself on your index page. Okay, cool. Very simple. Let's do this. I want an image of myself on my index page. I might have images of me in pictures. Okay, like here. There's some sample pictures. Here's one. Okay, let's open it up. Cool. Okay, if I see anybody do this, I'm going to get very upset, and you're going to lose marks on your final grade for the Web Workshop, okay? If you have a picture in pictures and you want to use it for your site, what did I say from the very beginning about these sites? Everything having to do with the site or included in the site needs to be within the main site folder. You do not go and right-click and find the properties for this picture and then take this path and add the name to the end of it and go and put that in your image link. If you want to use this picture, for example, you don't link to it from pictures, okay? Or, for example, like it says of yourself. All right, you can't really see anything in that anyway. Oh, here, these are good. This one's good, okay? Or that one's cool too, whatever. Okay, take a picture like that and copy it, all right? And once you've copied it, you can take the copy. Don't cut it, because then you might end up losing a picture that you want to keep. Go to the site you're working on and put it in the images folder. It's that simple. Okay, you are not to be linking to something outside of your site folder. Then you can even give it a name that's really easy to remember, like Mike with Am, okay? Go down here, it'll tell you what it is. It's either a JPEG, GIF, or PNG. Remember, if it's a JPEG, your link to the file path will be linked to JPG, not JPEG. Okay? So I've put a picture in there. Then, somewhere else in the Web Workshop, I gave you an image link code. Okay, so you can go to the image link code, which is right here, and steal it. Now just wait. It's not going to work right away. Just hang on. And then you go into your, I keep doing that. You go into your, where are we going next? Okay, go back to my PP. What page are we doing this in? Well, there's only one in My Personal Portfolio so far. So in your index page. So you go into your index page. Make sure you have the right index. Close all other indexes. Keep yourself organized. Go down after that list you made, and you're going to add a picture of yourself. Okay? By the way, in the instructions for Module 1, I really didn't quite finish everything. You were supposed to write a couple paragraphs about yourself and why you're taking this course, and just tell me some stuff. A couple paragraphs about me. Okay, second paragraph about me, and they should be longer than 4 words each, okay? I missed that at the end of module 1. You guys should be adding this in there, and then text, 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 text. Like, actually give me some content here, please. So write something about yourself, keep it appropriate, stuff like that, okay? Down here, I pasted this image link. Well, that's not going to do anything, okay? If I just save the file now and preview it, okay, nothing will actually happen. It's just going to have a broken link because I've stolen a link code from my steps site. Now, the reason I did that is so I don't have to, I'm not expecting you guys to memorize all these codes. You can use the codes. You just have to know how to apply your knowledge to the code. So if we go into the code here, and we know this worked because it was drawing a path to the images folder over in steps where I had this file sitting. And we know that I just put a file named Mike with Am in my folder, and then it wasn't a GIF, it was a JPG, but I also do have it in the same folder name, which is images. You don't even have to change that. All you had to do was adjust the file path a little bit. Now, when I save this and load it, it's probably going to be pretty big, because this is the file that came right out of my camera, okay? Oh, it's already there. I should just refresh. Oh, what did I not? What's going on? What? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's quite big. Okay, extremely big, in fact. That's actually the top of the picture. It's just as white as the background. So you can see it here. We clearly don't want it to be this large. Okay, so what you're going to do is add some of the codes that you can add to picture links that I haven't really shown you in the steps part, but are very, very simple. Okay, so this link is currently working, but the picture is way bigger than we need it. Later on in the class, we're going to use photo imaging type software, any kind of photo editing program, in this class specifically Photoshop, to actually make the image the exact size you want it to be in the website, in the web page, because if you don't, every browser, even if you just resize it, if you keep the file the same size originally, every browser is going to load the huge file, even if you're only loading it in a small frame. What we're going to do for the sake of the web workshop, because I don't need you guys using photo editing software yet, is just taking the big huge photo and making it smaller, just putting it in a smaller frame. It's still a big file, which I don't like, but we'll fix that later, okay? So the two codes for it, the two properties are width, go figure, and height. That's it. And you can do it in a few different ways. You can actually put various units of measurement in here. The one it'll default to automatically is pixels. So if I want to make that like 400 wide, it still has to be in quotes like everything else. You can get rid of those spaces. And make it 350 tall. And I just save those changes. This is going to completely change the way that picture loads up. Okay, and this is a big thing. Okay, it's a little... Yeah, I didn't really do the dimensions right. You can play with it a little so you get the right dimensions. And this is a big deal with people that pull photos directly out of cameras. They do need to be downsized. For the sake of the web workshop, when we're doing everything with code, I'm not going to make you edit the photo, but I would very much prefer you did not send me a page with some giant photo, okay? And you can easily fix that by doing those two codes. And you can even use percentages. Let's say I only want this to be 25% of the current, and this will avoid that squashing thing. 25% of the current width and 25% of the current height. It should remain in proportion if I, not quite, but yeah, because it's not a perfect square. It's been edited already. But yeah, so you can adjust the size as you see fit. Okay, don't just slam an image in there. But that's the process of putting the image in. We've borrowed the code. We've gotten it in. Then what do we have to do? And this I will not do in the video. I'm not going to complete the whole thing for you. You can do the rest of this. Create a page called Contact. Put all this stuff in it inside a table. Link it back to Index. Create a page called Education. Put this in there. Link it to Index. Create a page called this. Link it to Index. Back up here it does say, somewhere in here it'll tell you to link all these pages to Index. I think it's here. Save the file. Oh yeah, in each of them in the instructions it says create a link from Index to this page as well. Okay, so save the file, create a link from Index to Education. And I don't know why it's not in there. This is something I thought I fixed too. View in your browser, make sure it works. Create a link from Index to Employment. Your link from Index to Education. Yeah, one of the things I wanted you to do too was also create a link to index from each of the pages that says like back to home page, because I do tell you to do it here with an image link, but I don't actually tell you to do it in here. All of these instructions fixed by the time you guys see this. So you need to go ahead and do this. Oh, Mike, I can't do it. How do I do a link? It's really simple. Just go back and grab the relative code for a link and just put the proper file name in there and put the link text in there that you prefer. And I did do a quick review video that you can watch right after this for the ends of modules 2 and 3 where I actually do it. Okay, so you just steal the link and just adjust the things that need to be adjusted for my personal portfolio. Okay, and you put the link in the content where you want it to be. For the one that's a picture, I'm actually going to do that one for you. So let's pretend we've made this contact page and there's actually a table on it, which for the sake of the video, I'm not going to do it. I want you guys to be able to make your own table and create your own. So I'm going to just start a notepad file and I'm going to call it contact. Save this. In my personal portfolio, that's where all these 3 new pages will go. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm leaving a lot of stuff out here because I just want to show you the link. So you would start at basic HTML, and you know, here guys, since I want to save time in the video anyway, here's a quick way to save yourself the trouble here. Go to here. Sorry, go to index and open up a file full of code. Take all the code and copy it. Okay, put it into a file that has no code so you don't have to retype it all, and then just fix the stuff. So this is Mike Sloan's contact information in the page title. The heading, you can leave a heading still, just put contact Mike Sloan, right? You don't need a couple paragraphs about me, you don't need a list. Okay, you don't need a picture of yourself, so take out all this stuff out of the body, and what you are going to need is a table, and you're going to have to go and sort that out because I gave you exactly how to make a table at the beginning of this module. I'm not going to make it for you. Then, after the table, and I'm just going to pull that out of there. After the table, what I do want you to do is create a hyperlink back to index. And I'd like to see a hyperlink back to index on all 3 of the pages that you create, but this particular one of the 3. So you have employment, education, and contact. This one you're going to do it with a picture instead of link text. Okay, so I'm going to go to the web workshop and I'm going to borrow the code for relative link. Okay, here it is. You can leave a paragraph tag on it, that's fine. Okay, and I know I want to link it back to index, not table. So you fix that, and I've made this. And then here is not going to stay the same either. You're going to say go back to my home page. And this that I just created here, this is the exact link you could use off your education page and your employment page to go back to your home page. This right here. But what you're going to do here instead of text is you're going to put an image in there. So you can go on, just go Google something. Google like home icon or home clip art or something, and then go to image. There, right there. You already see here. This is good. That's kind of big. You don't need it to be very big. There, 128 by 128. You don't even have to mess with the size. And if you did have to mess with the size, you know how to do it. It's just width and height. See, it's trying to save in pictures. No, 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 no. I want to use this in my web workshop for my PP site. So you go here, my PP, images, home, and this is a PNG file. Good, so we get an example of a PNG file. So different extension, which is fine. So now we need an image link, and we need the image link to go there in that space where that text was. So go back and borrow an image link, no problem. Okay. That's right here. If you forget these, you can pull them off W3. You're always going to be able to find code really easily. And instead of the text, right in that space, you put the image link. You don't need the paragraph breaks, by the way, because you already have paragraph breaks around the hyperlink itself. You just need the image source link. And this is what's called nesting, like the examples I showed you there. Now, this won't work yet, but it will work as soon as you change the file path to what you saved called home.png that we just saved. So if we save this, okay, and keep in mind I didn't do some of the content for you in that example because I expect you guys to do that on your own, but there will at least be the link in there if I go and preview it in the browser. Okay, so there's my heading and the link, you need a table in here. You're going to do that yourself. But this little picture now, instead of text, goes back to index. Okay, and then the other 2 pages you'd create the same way. You should have 4 pages in this thing by the end, and they should include the content that I'm asking you for in the instructions for my PP. And that's the end of Module 2. Okay, we'll see you for Module 3.